Welcome to Dharavi Diaries, a 5-part series that takes you inside one of the world's most ambitious urban transformation projects. In Mumbai's heart lies Dharavi, home to over 1 million dreams and now 1 million reasons to hope. What's happening here isn't just redevelopment, it's reimagining what inclusive growth looks like. Today we sit down with a man steering this transformation, Mr. SVR Srinivas, CEO of the Dharavi Redevelopment Project. In this exclusive conversation, he shares the vision behind the project that's set to change not just Dharavi, but the very way India thinks about urban development.
From uncertainty to certainty, from darkness to light, and from threats to livelihoods to sustainable livelihoods. That's what it means. The project, I call it a movement actually, because what we are doing is very special and very unique in the world. Because number one, we are building in a brownest of the brownfield environment. Second is, it's a world's largest urban renewal project in peacetime, world's largest urban renewal project in peacetime. And thirdly, effectively we are building not just a slum or rebuilding a slum, it is a city within a city. We are creating a new city given its humongous size and humongous complexity. So, what all are the attributes of a city we have to create there, right, in terms of different aspects or dimensions of the scope of a project. Yeah? And keeping in view all along 2 points. One is, you should always keep in a project of this size and complexity, we should keep everybody on the same page as much as possible. And basically that means in one word, inclusivity is our motto. Having said that, the uppermost objective of this project is housing for all. So, this is what it means in short. As of today, there is no drinking water supply to households. It is a community water supply. The women, children, they have to go and fetch water, right. Some connections, illegal connections do exist, but generally speaking there is a scenario, and tomorrow once the project is completed you will have a drinking water, which is very basic human necessity from the dawn of civilization, right, very basic human necessity. Second, there are no toilets at home. Dharavi, as you know, especially it has come out in full focus during the COVID. People have to stand in long queues every morning. After 75 years of independence, still that is a situation for toilets. So, that is one thing. Third is, there is no sanitation, right. Future will have sanitation, solid waste management. It is a very paradoxical thing. There is no proper solid waste management, despite the fact that, I repeat, despite the fact that Dharavi is India's largest recycling machine. Entire Mumbai slum is solid waste is recycled there, but it itself does not have a solid waste management plan. Fourth, and very important, is there are no entitlements. By far the most important, as of today, there are no entitlements, and that is where keeps the investments in the Dharavi. Although it is a bubbling economy, investments are in a low level equilibrium trap. Once the entitlements are given, once there is surety, once there is a transfer of, transferability of an asset, right, which will generate income. So, Dharavi tomorrow will escape out of this, it will go on a higher growth trajectory, right. That is very important. So, today and tomorrow, and today it is a slum, so world's largest slum they say. We have our brother in Pakistan, in Arangi, that is supposed to be the next largest, but nowhere it compares to in terms of density, in terms of complexity, it's hardly even 10% of ours. But tomorrow it will be a city, Dharavi will be a city well organized and at par or even better than the rest of Mumbai. SP prepared the master plan for Dharavi. In fact, that plan, which has been done with a lot of inputs from multiple stakeholders and multiple multidisciplinary teams, it envisages, among other things, the mixed use of land. One, it ensures optimal utilization of space, but more importantly, it basically means, in short, walk to work, right, walk to work. And third, it protects, most importantly, the livelihoods, especially those who are not eligible in the normal course, right. Because I would like to emphasize one aspect, where 10% of each building is kept as commercial additionally, which is never done elsewhere in any SRA project. So, typically those 10% commercials will be given to the non-eligible commercial units or industrial units or factories. So, they also can stay there. So, that is possible only through mixed use. And lastly, on this aspect, it gives accessibility to multiple amenities, community buildable amenities. Okay. So, that is the basic aspect of mixed use, and this is where actually we are, to conclude on this aspect, we are preserving the identity of Dharavi as a bubbling economy. The plan envisages creation of a central heart for Dharavi and with an urban spine, which will be accessible to all. Typically, most of the plans lead to, the ones I have seen in some places, ghettoization or what you call gentrification. This plan typically avoids that. It is giving about 43% of the total space to rehabilitation alone, and all these rehab component, original residents of Dharavi, will also get access to these open spaces. Second, it will have a very good stormwater plan. See, right now there is no stormwater drainage. In fact, that Meethi river, it is just a dumping ground, let us say, everything is dumped there. There is no processing, there is no tertiary treatment of sewage, right. But sewage apart, there is no stormwater. So, that leads to waterlogging and disease. So, that is second aspect which makes it sustainable, right. And third is, of course, the sewage treatment plants that are going to come up. And finally, let me tell you, the very important aspect of this sustainability is to ensure that as much as possible we should use solar power and ensure that it is not possible in a situation of Mumbai, I can imagine, but as much as possible go to a platinum level of rating as far as the construction is concerned. So, sustainability is being addressed, will be addressed hopefully in all these dimensions. We wanted to create a digital twin for Dharavi. So, I have been after this for the last 1 year, and it has started, actually we got going on this. So, each and every unit, each and every millimeter of construction of Dharavi is going to be digitized, and we are creating exact real time replica digitally. That gives you two benefits. One is the data is permanently stored and it is very transparent. This gives a perfect way of doing such a complex project. We should be able to monitor it inch by inch. That is possible. As far as I know, this is by far the first time in India when a redevelopment project of this scale or any scale for that matter is having a digital twin. The work has started, and that actually entails interoperability of data and the overlaying of different layers of the spatial plan, including the JAS mapping, underground utilities and the construction and the existing households, including the families, their details. They are all in a way very beautifully interconnected. So, if you go to any house, you click on the one house, you will be able to see the person, its name, its video, the house details, and also whether they have any Aadhaar card, whether they have identity, whether they are original residents, they are everything. And also this will be very useful as we go forward even more as the construction takes place. So, that is one. And secondly, the people also should be not gently nudged, but be prepared to be future ready in terms of occupations, in terms of technology, right, and in terms of sustainability of their own livelihoods. That is very important. I think that will really, ensure that whatever the government is trying to do along with the people is sustained over centuries. This is the third dimension of the project. The other two dimensions being, number one, the construction per se, second is physical infrastructure, third is social infrastructure. Coming to social infrastructure, we should understand that Dharavi is a mini India, right. You name it, that language, that religion, that caste, community, everybody is there. Any language in India you speak, you will get somebody to respond, right. So, Dharavi is like that. So, keeping that multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multicultural, multi-linguistic, thing in view, the dimension. So, we have to ensure, and also multiple layers of financial standing, right. Everybody is not at par, they are in Dharavi. Some are businessmen, some are not. Most of them are migrant workers, right. So, it is important, and we are doing it to ensure there is proper social infrastructure is built. What it entails is, number one, a proper robust primary health care. So, that infrastructure has to be built, which will be built by the SPV at its own cost. Education is the second dimension of social infrastructure. And third is, of course, I do not say in religious social infrastructure, but it is a component which is close to our heart of all of us, that is the religious aspect. There are n number of temples of all kinds, from Subramanyam temple to Sai temple to all types, Durga temple, Shiv mandirs, and secondly there are several number of mosques and madrasas, churches, So, that is a thing that is very important to build. And last, finally, community centers, so that people can interact, right. So, this type of social infrastructure is very necessary, and it is there, but not in adequate, nor is it of good quality, right. I am not talking about temples, but the remaining secular aspect, like schools, colleges, hospitals, that is absolutely inadequate, right. It has been exposed in the that black swan event we had in the form of COVID. So, now it is important that this is rebuilt. That is, if you ask me, among the three dimensions, this is by far the most important. This is what distinguishes a brick and mortar place with an organic city. So, if you want to build an organic city, this is important, and this is our focus point as well.
It's time for a short break, but our special feature, Dharavi Diaries, continues on the other side. So, don't go anywhere. Let's delve deeper into the Dharavi Redevelopment Master Plan. That's about creating a city within a city, a self-contained urban ecosystem that's both modern and rooted in community. We'll look at what home for all really means in a place where 72,000 new homes are being planned. And most importantly, we'll explore the promise of not a single eligible resident being left behind.
All the eligible slum dwellers, which are more than nearly 50%, they will be inside in situ Dharavi. Okay. So, there is no question. Secondly, those eligible commercial and residential, commercial and factories, commercial establishment, they will also be in Dharavi. And third, the new decision is that even ineligible commercial industrial estate will also be inside the Dharavi, right. So, what remains is ineligible residential. For them, land is being procured in places like Kurla, in places like salt pan lands, just you mentioned Jamas and others. The other human angle is the empowerment, right. Empowerment in two terms, in two dimensions. One is to empower them in terms of skilling, right. So, already some programs of skill development are underway. Recently, we had discussions with the National Skill Development Corporation, Government of India. So, their officers have gone there along with our officers, and how to upskill the present artisans, craftsmen, in Dharavi, right. And secondly, it is also important to ensure that the women are also equally empowered, right, because women of Dharavi, they do not sit idle. It is not like other places of India, they are very active members of the productive economy. So, we are also taking up schemes, we will be taking up schemes in coordination with the other departments, so that there is a convergence, so the empowerment also takes place in terms of number one skilling and number two in terms of financial upliftment, right, and in terms of careers as well. So, this is a physical aspect and there is a human aspect. From a distance it looks romantic, Dharavi, but once you go there you realize it is a very tough place to carry on, especially for children, because most of them are engaged in labor, not hazardous labor, but definitely they are engaged in productive labor at that young age when they are supposed to be going to schools, right, because there are not enough schools, and their health very important. And third very important is, see, Dharavi has very small lanes and bylanes. So, due to that the sunlight hardly ever reaches there. When you go there, you would see hardly about 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight is there in the entire day, which possibly means that a heavy dose of vitamin D deficiency must be there, which affects children. So, it is very important that childhood is something very precious to everybody, to all of us. So, it has to be conserved, it has to be nurtured, right. For that, it is very important that children have access to playgrounds, access to open spaces, access to libraries to for mental development. So, both their physical and mental development is very important, and that is what our master plan actually envisages. It shows that the children will have access to open spaces which will be created, which do not exist as of today. As of today, hardly any open space, you can see it, it is for all of us, but generally speaking, when you go there, you prefer to look the other way around, right, that is a fact. So, there are no open spaces, that is one. Secondly, the proper vaccination of children needs to be done. For that, you have to create a proper primary care, health care, robust environment. And third is creation of some education related, not just schools and colleges, but in terms of libraries and community centers. Okay. So, this is what childhood means, but unfortunately this is not happening, but I think hopefully that should change sooner than later. The rock bands of Dharavi are very famous, right, the music bands are very famous, in spite of the fact that they do not have proper livelihoods, right. So, they are very well known. So, humongous talent, it has to be nurtured, it has to be tapped, and it has to be developed, and it should be given an opening, right, that is what it requires. So, with this redevelopment, it is not just brick and mortar construction. As I said, we are building a city within a city, and we are building the rest of the brownfield projects. So, in this complex environment, these children will get opportunities. Opportunities will be created not in terms of just ordinary careers, there will be business centers, there will be international investments coming, right. The project cost is almost about 1 lakh crores. So, this itself humongous, it shows that a lot of investment is going to come up. In addition to that, there will be other investments as well, which opens up tremendous opportunities, not for just careers, but in terms of whatever raw talent that they have. I am sure there will be a lot of bright future, but what we need is to be future ready. So, for that it is important that those talented younger lot are given opportunities. That is what the plan will is trying to open up vistas for their personality development.
What we've heard today isn't just about buildings and roads, it's about rebuilding hope. When Mr. Srinivas speaks about development with dignity, he's talking about something revolutionary. The idea that where you're born doesn't have to limit where you can go. The Dharavi Redevelopment Project represents more than just urban planning. It's urban dreams turned into reality. In the next 4 episodes of Dharavi Diaries, we'll take you on ground to meet the families whose lives are being transformed, because ultimately, this project isn't measured in square feet. It's measured in the smiles of its residents, who can now dream bigger. With that, our special feature, Dharavi Diaries, comes to a close. I'm Pooja Jain signing off. Thanks for tuning in.